I 100% can understand why Holmesian purists don't like the 7% solution. I still liked it. I don't know, it was a fun romp, and it's not actual Holmes canon, so what if it retcons a few things? Who cares? I don't know. I am of the mind that it's really not that serious. You don't like that it retcons some of the Holmes canon? Great. Good thing it's not canon. You can put it down now. I'm not gonna knock on somebody's review, okay? I understand why people wouldn't like it. I still liked it though. I started reading this on my flight to Europe. I did a roughly 1 month long backpacking trip, interrailing trip. And I read a good chunk of it on the flight there, and I read a good chunk of it as I was taking a train from Munich through Austria to Switzerland to visit the Reichenbach Falls, which was fitting for this book because it takes place in Vienna, which I did not visit, but I still got a video of me reading this book, and then I pan over and it's Austria, so I don't know. I barely passed through the corner of Austria, but I thought it was fun. Look, this book was definitely a bit of a slow start. I will say I was like, damn, we're just kind of like sitting here for a while and just like talking for a while. Slow start. However, I think that worked in its favor. I really liked that while it was slow, it took that as an opportunity to explore the relationship between Holmes and Watson, which I love. Let me see more of. I want more of that. That was fantastic. There were scenes kind of in the beginning, middle-ish. There are some scenes that, oh, genuinely tugged at the heartstrings, okay? For those who don't know, the 7% solution is basically Holmes is struggling with a cocaine addiction, and so Watson takes him to see a specialist in Vienna to overcome this addiction. And who is the man he takes him to? It's a little silly, but none other than Sigmund Freud, right? So the book is Sherlock Holmes and Dr. Watson in Vienna, like staying with Sigmund Freud as Holmes overcomes his cocaine addiction. And then in like the last third of the book, there's like a case introduced. So it's not a big mystery. There is a little bit of a mystery, but it's very short and it's at the very end, which I didn't mind because, like I said, I really love how they explored the relationship between Holmes and Watson. That was the primary focus of this book. I have an online friend who I met through Sherlock Holmes events and things like that, who has also read the book. And when I mentioned I was in the process of reading it, I hadn't finished it yet, she goes, "Oh, well, did you know that the daughter of the author is married to Kristen Stewart?" And I was like, "Oh my god, wait, no way. I didn't know that." She goes, "Yeah, you haven't picked up on the gay gene yet?" I was like, "What?" Gay gene? And then I read the rest of the book, and I could see it. Now, I know, like, there are gonna be older Holmesian purists who are gonna get, like, mad at the insinuation that Holmes and Watson are anything but two heterosexual friends, right? That's, I I do believe truly that Conan Doyle did not intend any queerness to enter his books. I truly do believe that he had very little intention of ever doing that. However, uh, we as readers can interpret things however we like. That's the fun part, right? The way the way Watson describes men in this book versus how he describes women, like, there is a scene where they go to the opera. This is non-spoiler territory. I'm not spoiling anything. There's a scene where they go to an opera, and they find someone who might be relevant to, like, this case they low-key might be working on. Anyway, they meet this guy, and they see him in a distance. And now, I understand the era of writing. So this was written in 1974, and is trying to emulate the style of Dr. Watson, because it's kind of meta. I probably should have given an introduction. Basically, this story is written by Nicholas Meyer, but it's presented as it's written by Dr. Watson and edited by Nicholas Meyer. So the idea is that this was the last thing that the last story Watson ever told as he was on his deathbed in like 1940. And then the hospice nurse who transcribed it hung on to the papers, and then they entered this man's life, and he edits it and publishes it, right? So it's kind of a meta. Anyway, so it's emulating Victorian writing. It takes place in 1891. And I understand the style of writing. I've read a lot of Sherlock Holmes. I've read R.L. Stevenson. I am not unfamiliar with the style of writing seen in a lot of mid to late Victorian and early Edwardian works, right? I know words that are commonly used, etc., etc. Here's the thing, though. In the era, for Watson to describe a man as having handsome features, that is not inherently gay in any way whatsoever. And I need people to understand that is just the style of writing. However, Watson sees a character, sees a man, and says his handsome features, that's neither here nor there. That is just a descriptor common for the era. And then goes on to be like, oh, and then there was a lady and she had gems in her hair. She was standing still or sitting still. Anyway, so this man had really sensual lips. I'm sorry. And that's kind of a thing that happens throughout the whole book is the way, and we can argue it's just misogyny, which I would believe as well. Like, obviously we're going to focus more on the men than the women, but also like the women's like kind of an important key to the case. Like kind of the whole point of the case is the women. So I find it really funny that anytime a man shows up, Watson's like, wow, he had a really chiseled jaw and really handsome nose and really intelligent eyes. Oh, there was a woman there. She was like tall, I guess. Which I just thought was funny. Okay. I just thought it was funny. So I will not spoil anything in this book. So I'm not going to say what is retconned or how, but at the very, very, very end, there is a massive retcon to the Sherlock Holmes canon. And like I said, this isn't Sherlock Holmes canon. This was not written by Conan Doyle. Now, because it was published in the 70s, and Sherlock Holmes was not public domain, it did have to be okayed by the Conan Doyle estate. But like, a lot of stuff is okayed by the Conan Doyle estate that has nothing to do with canon. I'm reading Anthony Horowitz's Moriarty right now, which is fun. It's a fun romp. Has really like not a lot to do with the Sherlock Holmes canon. Like Sherlock Holmes is not really a character in this book. It's an American detective investigating American gang ties to Moriarty post The Final Problem. So, like, no need to fret, okay? Yeah, it retcons some things. It's not the end of the world. It's fine. And if you're like, I understand, like I said, I understand why people get mad at that. I understand that they think it devaluates the importance of the stories and events that it retcons, but I still think it's fun, and I still think it's fine. So I just read it going, this is Sherlock Holmes fan fiction, essentially, which isn't a bad thing. I have written my own book. I'm in the querying trenches right now. It's more or less glorified Sherlock Holmes fan fiction. That's not a bad thing. I still write actively fan fiction that I post on like fandom spaces, okay? I'm not here to diss fan fiction. Believe me, that's not what I'm doing. Don't get it twisted. But like, you get to a point where you wonder, where's the line between public domain, like what is fan fiction? I'm not going to spend a whole video talking about that. That's a whole topic on its own. But in short, The 7% Solution by Nicholas Meyer, I really enjoyed. I would say 4.5 out of 5 stars. I thought it was fun. It was slow going at first, but I feel like that gave it room to explore the relationship between Holmes and Watson in a way that we don't see in the original canon, because the original canon is just Watson going, okay, we did this case. That's the case. So we don't see a lot of their true dynamic. Like, we do see a bit, obviously, but like not like we see in here. Here we see the true emotions behind their relationship, whether you think that is completely platonic or a QPR or a romantic or sexual, whatever you think it is, this explores that, which I really appreciated. We see Watson helping Holmes in the absolute depths and throes of a cocaine withdrawal. I love reading that shit. Are you kidding me? More of that, please. If you can't tell, I'm really glad that it's October because that means there's Wumptober. And I'm a big fan. So yeah, The 7% Solution by Nicholas Meyer, I would say 4.5 out of 5 stars simply because it was a bit slow going. That wasn't inherently a bad thing, but it did take a second for me to kind of go, okay, where are we going with this? Okay, cool. The writing was good. I feel like it emulated the late Victorian era quite well, but also leaned more into slightly modern narration because the idea is that Watson's describing it in 1940. So the voice, I feel like it was really captured well with a kind of blend of eras. Like it happened in the 1890s, it was told in the 1940s, and it was edited in the 1970s. And I feel like that's a really weird thing to grasp, but Nicholas Meyer grasps it, I think. So shout out to him. So I'd say 4.5 out of 5. It's a fun romp. I get why people don't like it. I still liked it because I can look past the fact that it retcons because it's not canon and we don't need to worry. So I thought it was fun. I'm curious to look up anything else Nicholas Meyer has done. I don't know if he's done any other Sherlock Holmes things or just other maybe mysteries. I don't know. I'm curious to look it up because I thought the writing was great. The climax was fantastic. I could not put it down. I'm not kidding. Like, I will not spoil, but there's like a train chase. It's insane. Like, I was actually sitting there going, what the hell? And I loved it. I loved it. The train chase was crazy. So, climax was great. Yeah, I don't know what else to say about it other than I get why people don't like it. That's neither here nor there. That's okay. That's fine. If you didn't like it, I understand why. I'm not going to bash you for it. I completely get it. I still thought it was fun. The writing was really good. We got to see more the personality of Holmes and Watson and their dynamic as themselves in their relationship, whatever form you think that takes. So I actually really liked this book. I might actually read it again, but not right away because again, I'm working on the works of Anthony Horowitz right now. So that's my review for the 7% Solution. I also have not seen the movie. I have not yet seen the movie, so now that I've read the book, I'm curious to watch the movie and see how it compares. If you've read it, let me know. Let me know if you enjoyed it or you enjoyed it until it retconned and you got annoyed. Like, I'm curious to see why exactly. You know, share your thoughts if you've read it before, or maybe now you're like, dang, I should read it. I have a friend, I told her about it, online friend, and she's like, dang, maybe I should read that. So hopefully this inspired you to pick it up or something else. I don't know. As long as you're reading, I don't care. So yeah, that is my review for the 7% Solution by Nicholas Meyer. Greatly enjoyed. Get why people don't. So that's all there is to it, I guess.